All right, so now we are back for one of my favorite concepts in time value of money. We're going to talk about present value and a lawsuit settlement. It is now December 31st, 2008, and a jury just found in favor of a woman who sued the city for injuries sustained in a January 2007 accident. She requested recovery of lost wages plus $100,000 for pain and suffering, plus $20,000 for legal expenses. Her doctor testified that she has been unable to work since the accident and that she will not be able to work in the future. She is now 62, and the jury decided that she would have worked for another 3 years, and she was scheduled to earn $34,000 in 2007. Let's go ahead and hold that question there for a moment and make a timeline so that we understand what is happening. So in January 2007, we have an accident that takes place. This is that point of the timeline. In December 2008, so if that's January, this will be December 2007, and this will represent December 2008. Today, the jury found in favor of this particular woman. All right, now let's see. So she has requested a recovery of lost wages. We've got a wages element over here. Then we have pain and suffering, and then we have legal expenses. These are three areas that we need to cover. So we'll get to wages in just one moment, but on this particular point in time, we have $100,000 for pain and suffering, and $20,000 for legal expenses. Okay, so pain will be $100,000. And because we're talking about the time of the trial, this is coming under December 2008. Legal expenses are $20,000. And now let's get to wages. So she would have earned $34,000 in 2007. And then the question says to simplify this problem, assume that the entire annual salary amount would have been received on December 31st, 2007. So if December 31st, 2007 would have been worth $34,000 for her, and then she would earn beyond that. Now, her earning capacity continues for 3 more years. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 years. So 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. All right, her employer testified that she probably would have received raises of 3% per year. Now let's go ahead and put in her earning across this time that has been lost. So we would have a wages calculation here for 2007. That's going to be our starting point. We'll have 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. It's going to be a rolling basis, because if she was scheduled to earn $34,000 in 2007, that means in 2008, it'll be 34,000 multiplied by 1.03. That is her 3% raise for that particular year. We would get 35,020. Sorry, that's a decimal point there. There we go. And then the next year would have been another raise on top of that of 3%. And we would get 36,070.60. And then we would have again another 3% raise on top of that. We plug that into a calculator, we get 37,152.72. And lastly, in her final earning year, she would have earned the same amount times 1.03 for her 3% raise. She would have had an earning capacity of 38,267.30. And this is the entire lineup of her wages. Okay. Let's get back to the question. Now, this is tricky. The actual payment will be made on December 31st, 2009. So this is the point in the timeline where all of the focus is going to come. December 31st, 2009. We want to bring all forms of payment to this part of our timeline. Okay. Now, The judge stipulated that all dollar amounts are to be adjusted to a present value basis on December 31st, 2009, using a 7% annual interest rate and using compound, not simple interest. All right, so now the 7% is also critical because this means it will be adjusting all receiving amounts to that 7% annual interest rate. Let's go ahead and fill in our wages over here so that we have a better understanding of what our cash flow is going to look like. Just one moment. Let's make that a little bit smaller so we've got some space there for us. So 35,020, 36,070. This is looking a little bit crowded. All right. 0.60. Then we've got 30, let's make that a little bit of a diagonal, 37,152.72, and then lastly we'd have 38,267.30. There we go. All right, now that we have our timeline, remember we're going to bring everything to 2009. So let's start off with our next calculation. Let's see everything that we have to bring forward to 2009. And so here we'll see that we're going to focus on these three values. We've got 34,000, 35,020, 100,000, and 20,000. These are the values that we want to bring forward to 2009. So we'll call this adjustment 1, okay? And this adjustment is going to include salaries and wages. It will include our pain and suffering charges and our legal expenses. All right, now if we incorporate all three of these values, then it makes sense to see how far we're hopping along. The wage received for 2007 is going to move forward 1, 2. So that's 2 compoundings on the $34,000. So we'll take 34,000, we'll compound it at 1.07 for 2 years. And this is based off of our future value formula, where we say that future value equals to present value times 1 plus I to the power of n. So 34,000 represents the present value, and it's going to be compounded twice, 2 times, to get to our valuation timeline of 2009. And then we're going to take our total amount over here. And that's 35,020. Let's go ahead and put that into a calculator. So we'll take our 35,020, we'll take our 100,000 and our $20,000, and that gives us a total amount of $155,020. This will be compounded 7%, and all of this gets compounded for 1 year to shift forward to the timeline in 2009. So when we multiply that by 1.07, we get 165,871.4. And of course, if we do that same thing for our calculation of the wages received in 2007, that means that we'll take our 1.07 to the power of 2, and we'll multiply that by 34,000. And we get 38,926.6. So adding those two amounts, when we plug that into our calculator, we get a nice even 204,798. So this is the amount of everything that moves forward. Now, this is not everything, but this is everything that moves forward and is compounded 1 or 2 years to go into 2009. Now let's take our second adjustment. In our second adjustment, we're going to take our future salaries, our future wages, and we're going to discount them back to 2009. So it's 36,070, 37,152, and 38,267. That's future earning potential. We want to bring it over to the time of payment, which means we're going to refer to our present value formula, where present value equals to future value times 1 plus I to the power of negative n. We're going to discount it back to 2009. Now, when it comes to the 36,007, technically speaking, it's in the exact right positions. We're not going to mess with that. We don't need to actually move that anywhere. Okay, so we're simply going to take 36,070.60, at its current value. And then we're going to adjust the next two. So the 37,152.72, this is going to move backwards 1 year, multiplied by 1.07 to the power of -1. And when we discount that, we are going to get 34,722.17. And then the next salary, the 2011 salary, that's 38,267.30, 1.07. This is going to be discounted 2 years. We're going backwards 2 years. So the power of -2. When we put that into a calculator, we get 33,424.14. So the three values, 36,070, 37,152, 38,267, when it's all discounted back to 2009, we get a lump sum of 104,217.91. All right. Now, this basically means that the amount from the past moved forward and the amount from the future moved backwards. Everything allocated to 2009, we have these two values. We have 204,798 and 104,217.91. So this means that in our final calculation, when we have to calculate the city's payout, we'll simply add those two numbers. So we'll have 204,798 plus 104,217.91. And the total amount of money that the city is going to write this young lady a check for is 309,014.91. This is the size of that check. And so this is how we answer this particular question. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Thank you.